Good evening and welcome to the August 15th meeting of the Plymouth Township Zoning Hearing Board. Everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the first case on the agenda is 105 Lee Drive. Mr. Solicitor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Zoning Hearing Board received a letter dated August 4th, 2022 on the application of MAX Power Sports LLC for 105 Lee Drive. The letter was signed by attorney Neil Stein and has requested a continuance of this evening's hearing to the September hearing. Is there a motion to continue this matter to September 19th, 2022?
I'll make the motion to continue the matter until September 19th, 2022.
And I'll even add at 7 p.m. at the Greater Plymouth Community Center.
Sounds good.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Let's have a vote. Ms. Lettish?
In favor?
Ms. Spygott?
In favor.
Mr. Daly?
In favor.
Mr. Romano? The chair votes in favor. So that is moved to August 9th, I'm sorry, September 19th. The first matter is 140 Alexander Drive. Mr. Solicitor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the application of Freedom Fence LLC for Michelle Haddad. The property is located at 140 Alexander Drive in the B as in boy residential zoning district. It's a request for a variance from section 1909.E of the Plymouth Township zoning ordinance to install a fence within a front yard setback.
Just give me the date. And
Thank you.
the court reporter will swear in.
State your full name for the record and
Michelle
swear you in.
I'm sorry, what's the second part?
I'm going to swear you in. State your full name and spell for the record.
Michelle Haddad, Michellhaddad.
Raise your right hand, please, and do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about giving this matter to truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
Explain to the board and the members of the public who are here what you'd like to do.
We'd like to put in a 6-foot privacy fence. It'll be 18 feet off the main road. White vinyl PVC, pretty standard and consistent with our neighbor. I think she was here last month's hearing for the same fence.
When you say main road, I'm sorry, which road is that?
Plymouth Road.
Sorry.
Plymouth Road.
Plymouth.
So, questions from the board? Ms. Lettish?
I don't have any questions.
Ms. Spygott?
Is there another house on the other side of you? You said your one neighbor have they gotten a fence yet?
No, neighbor on the other side does not.
They what?
They have not yet.
They have not. No other questions.
Mr. Daly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Haddad, are your neighbors okay with your putting up the fence? Okay. And I guess you're next to 138, who's having the
Yes.
same kind of fence put up as you are. Okay. I suspect there are no visibility issues for traffic, because it would sort of be flat along the Plymouth Road, I guess, right?
Yeah.
We're set back off, so yeah.
Yeah, pretty well set back. Okay.
It's a straight road with no bend.
Yeah, I checked out the property, and it looked like it wouldn't be an issue. Thank you. No further questions.
No questions.
Guess I have to comment, they're giving these plans, and they've got a 4-foot thing that's like this, and a 66-foot thing that's like this. I mean, could do a little better job of, not to scale, but at least closer to scale. It's really off when you look at the distances on the plan that was submitted.
Yeah. I mean, it extends to the property line, so we just wanted to get the full range of our property fenced off.
No, and I appreciate that, you have a double door on one, double gate on one side, single gate on the other, but it's behind the house, it comes up to the back of the house, it doesn't come into the, what I would call the real
Yeah,
front
I was
yard.
gonna say, do you mind if we just take a peek? Yeah.
So it just goes like that, this is the front of the house.
Yes.
So we just go to the back.
Oh, yeah, well, I think just with the kids, I wasn't comfortable having any blind spots, and that's why we set it back a little bit.
You do see this, 66 here, 5 here, 83 here, a little out of whack.
Correct, yeah, and yeah, I think we can always, and the house is a little shorter too, but that's fine, yeah.
Well-
The more schematically trying, the proportions might be off, but yeah.
Did you consider not having did you consider having the state fence that you can see through like many of your neighbors have, like most of your neighbors have?
We definitely did, but just given the proximity to the road, like I personally don't feel comfortable with the kids playing in the backyard with the see-through fence. So that was my rationale, it was more safety and security, to be honest. Like I want to feel comfortable that I can let them play in the backyard and not have any major concerns and have to be watching them all the time.
The road seemed to be a little bit busier too. I think a lot of the
Yeah.
neighbors are on, I guess that's Johnson Road, which seems to have a little, we were surprised moving in the amount of traffic coming through,
Yeah.
especially at night and cars running their engines. So I think there's a privacy from sound factor that would be absorbed through a privacy fence, not necessarily through the iron fence as well, that we're hoping to achieve.
I have no further questions.
So I heard, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I heard you mention children. You have children, and that's really the principal reason why you're doing this. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because your neighbors have come in, and usually it's a child or a dog or both, and okay.
Yes. We do have a dog as well. Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Conway.
No questions, thank you.
Anybody from the public who'd like to speak in support of this application? Anyone from the public who'd like to speak in opposition to this application? Seeing no public comment, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to grant a variance from Township zoning ordinance number 342 as amended Article 19, Section 1909, point capital E, to install a fence within a front yard setback at the property located at 140 Alexander Drive in a B residential zoning district, to be done in conformity with the testimony and exhibits offered this evening.
Thank you. We have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. So Ms. Lettich,
In favor?
Ms. Baga,
In favor?
Mr. Daly.
In favor.
Mr. Raimondo.
In favor.
The chair votes in favor. Good luck in the new house.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Guys, have a good rest of your night.
Have a good night.
Likewise, thanks.
601 Anthony Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the application of, I'm going to butcher it, Ali Ekakani?
It's actually Ekbatani. It's EKB, not EK.
EKB, okay, EKBATANI. Okay, Ali Ekbatani. This is an application for a variance from section 1908.1 of the Plymouth Township zoning ordinance to allow a 10-foot by 16-foot shed where a maximum of 12 feet by 12 feet is allowed. This property is located at 601 Anthony Drive in the AA residential zoning district.
State the name and spell for the record.
Ali Ekbatani, A-L-I, last name E-B-A-T-A-N-I.
Can you please state your solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Tell the board and members of the public what you'd like to do.
Yes, sir. So it's essentially a pool house, but it serves as a shed to store all my supplies for the pool and the lawn. And also the second piece is just to have a small changing area for the swimming pool. I just need a little more square footage than the 12 by 12 house.
Ms. Lettich, do you have any questions?
Is there an existing shed there now, or
No,
will this
there's
be a first-time shed structure?
First time.
Are you planning on having utilities?
No.
No plumbing or electric?
I'm sorry. We're going to have electric, no.
I believe we received an email from one of your neighbors in support. Is that correct? Yeah.
I spoke with both neighbors on either side of the road.
We did receive an email this
Okay.
morning from
Yeah.
one of your neighbors.
Yeah.
Saying, all good.
Good.
I don't have any other questions.
Ms. Pygott?
I did drive by your property. I'm just trying to see where, in conjunction to the pool, would this proposed pool house be located?
Sure, so directly facing the pool, there's going to be about 15 feet of concrete poured, and will be right behind that. So essentially, if you're facing the house, the pool is a little to the left,
Yeah.
and this is perpendicular to the house, directly facing the pool.
Oh, okay. And what backs up to your house?
So the neighbor on the left, the front side of their house is about maybe 30 to 40 yards from the end of the property.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Daly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Ekbatani, how high is the shed going to be? Is it 10 feet 11 inches, something like that?
Exactly.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to confirm that. The pool's already installed, right?
It is.
Okay.
That was a set of headaches.
Different kettle of fish.
That's right.
No further questions, thank you.
Mr. Ramon?
No questions.
And which one was 505 sending the letter of support? Which side are they on?
505 is on the right side setback.
Okay, so they're over here.
Yeah.
So your shed's on the other side?
It's on the other side. That's a valid point. So new neighbors, they just moved in maybe a couple days before we put the pool in, so they got a nice introduction. But I spoke with them extensively yesterday, and they're in support.
You said you'd have electricity.
I want to put in electricity.
No further questions. Mr. Sander?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Briefly, you don't plan to have any residential use of this shed?
No, just a small area as a changing room for the pool itself, but it'll be primarily storage.
Okay, storage and changing. Okay. But no one's going to live there? You're not going to have a bedroom or anything? Okay.
No, I hope not.
And you don't plan to have any commercial activity with regard to the shed?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
It's a nice house.
Mr. Cumberland?
Just to reiterate, I know we've gone over with you, probably your contractor, just make sure it's not in that drainage easement that cuts through there. I just wanted to put that on record.
No, I
That's
appreciate
all.
it. So
I know I've said that probably about a dozen times in the past 6 months, but
we have a drainage easement, so we had to actually move the pool back 10 yards past the easement, and this is going to be parallel to that.
Anyone from the public like to speak in support of this application? Anyone from the public like to speak in opposition to this application? Hearing none, no further public comment. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman, to grant a variance from Township zoning ordinance number 342 as amended, Article 19, Section 1908.1, to allow a 10-foot by 16-foot shed where a maximum of 12 feet by 12 feet is allowed at the property located at 601 Anthony Drive in a AA residential zoning district, be carried out in conformity with the testimony exhibits given tonight, along with any stipulated conditions of only electrical service and no residential use of the shed.
And to not be in the drainage easement area.
All right. Exactly.
that's good,
I agree with that.
Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Thank you. So vote, Ms. Lettish?
In favor?
Ms. Pygott?
In favor?
Mr. Daly?
In favor.
Mr. Raimondo?
In favor.
The chair votes in favor. It looks nice. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
700 Fairfield Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the application of Joseph DeSanto Jr. This is an application for a variance from section 1910, point capital F as in Frank, point 2 of the Plymouth Township zoning ordinance to install a pool within the front yard. Property is located at 700 Fairfield Road in the A residential zoning district.
Joseph, Disney Jr.,
Fully, well, last name.
D-I-S-A-N-T-I.
With written testimony, you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony by giving this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Explain to everybody what you'd like to do.
I'd like to put a pool in my front yard, technically my side yard. I bought the house. The house sits so far back and on a corner lot, so technically I was told I don't have a rear yard. I have 2 big front yards. So that's what I'm trying to do.
So, questions from the board, Ms. Lenich?
So I drove past your property, just so that I can understand, the home is a large brick
Yes.
home, and then with a big front yard.
Yes.
And then a driveway, if I recall.
Yep.
Will the pool be on the right, to the right of the?
If you're driving by, the pool will be on the left-hand side of my driveway. If you're standing up looking at my house from the road.
Oh,
Right-hand
on the left-hand side?
Oh,
It's on
I'm
the
sorry,
right-hand
it'll be on the right-hand side, yeah.
On the right-hand side.
Yep.
And then, is that another structure behind where the pool is?
That is my garage, yes.
Oh, that's your garage?
Yes.
Okay. And that's detached from the
From the house, yes.
main house? Okay. I wasn't sure. I thought it was I didn't realize that was part of your
Mhm.
property just when I drove by.
That's-
So
It's still me.
you will be fencing in then what portion of that yard?
What portion of the yard? I was told since the pool would be taller than 48 inches, I wouldn't have to put a fence up, but when I initially turned the plan in, I was going to fence off like a 30 by 30 square right around the pool, like a 4-foot picket fence.
Okay. So the fence, would that go up against your garage then, or would it just be around?
It would just be right around the pool. It wouldn't go up to the
Okay.
garage.
And have you discussed this with your neighbors?
Yes, I discussed it with all my neighbors. We're all related, that little neighborhood right there. So-
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're against it.
So they'll be using the pool. It's safe to say. I do not have any other questions at this time.
Ms. Bygott?
I don't have any questions. I have the same questions that she had.
Mr. Daly?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. DeSanto, is the pool already in? I know I saw a pool there.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay, so this is just, you have to get the
The
permission. to do it.
framework's up, I gotta get the permission, and I have to get the electrical tagged.
Oh, okay, okay. I have no further questions, thank you.
According to these plans, this is the property line here? These dark lines, is that the property line?
Yes.
So there's really no other place you can put this?
Yeah, I was talking to Mr. Wallace last year, and he recommended that I put it right here, which is the top of my driveway.
Yeah.
But I have 2 roofs there, and I have 7 daughters.
Yeah.
So I can foresee children jumping off roofs into this
7
pool.
daughters, you said?
Yes.
God bless you.
All right, no further questions, thank you.
I just always have a concern when you, applications is you're requesting to put in a pool, and you've already put in a pool, at least when I drove by, it looks like the pool's there.
Well, what happened was, last year, I went up and I sat down with Mr. Wallace with the same plans, and I explained to him what I wanted to do. He said, I don't see any problem with it. Go ahead and build your pool. I said, okay. So I called up excavator, had the groundwork done, built a pad, had the wiring trenched out there. And then I called back, I believe it was right before the 4th of July of last year, and I said, who do I have to call to inspect this wiring so I can build this pool now? I was informed by Mr. Conroy that Mr. Wallace never should have told me that I could have built that pool, that I have to go through a variance hearing. At that point, it was the second or third week or the first or second week of July. So I asked how long that was going to take. He said that the process takes 60 days. So at that point, the pool was pretty much built. It was like a metal frame. So I tarped it up for the winter. And then the spring came, summertime came. I just drug my feet on putting in the, application. I think it was the last week of June when I pulled the tarp off of it. At that point, it's like a metal shell. There was 3-4 inches of water in the bottom, so I had to dig a hole and drain all the water out. And at that point, I was concerned about losing my investment. So I pulled the cover, filled it up with water, and that probably took another 2 weeks. So yeah, the pool was built and filled with water, I'm going to say second, third weekend of July. So it's up.
Yeah, no, my only comment is the application acts as though you're applying for it instead of saying, hey, I've got it, I'm trying to legalize it. That was my point for the application, how it's written. So, in looking at your lot, I do agree with Mr. Armando, though. I'm hard pressed to find where else you would put your pool. And I don't know how somebody could suggest putting it at the top of the driveway, because how are you going to drive your car into the garage?
I have a lot of parking space. But yeah.
So anyway, just read as though you were seeking to do it and it was already been done.
Yeah.
And one other comment, if you do install a fence, I do believe, and Mr. Conroy can verify this, you'd again be putting a fence in your front yard, which would again probably
I'd have
require
to come back
variance,
in,
just
right?
like everybody else.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, we'll just, not to jump in, we'll just see what the building department says in regards to the pool and go from there.
Yeah, I was told last year, because I went in there and I was like, I want to build this pool, I'm going to put up a fence. And he was like, well, he's like, you build a pool. He's like, but you don't have to put up a fence. Something about it being taller than 48 inches. I just have to have a gate with that fancy lock, stuff like that.
Two different issues, though, because you may want a fence because,
Yeah.
as you said, you've got a whole bunch of kids running around.
Yes, I
Maybe
do.
you should have it fenced off, just as an observation. So I have no further comments, Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The driveway to your house comes off Riverview Road,
Yes,
but your address is Fairfield Road.
I know. That has me a little... We bought the house 2.5 years ago. Used to be my great-grandfather's house, and then it was my Uncle Billy's house, and then it was my cousin Yvonne's house. Now it's my house. As I hear, the driveway used to be out on Fairfield.
Oh,
And then
okay.
sometime in the 70s, they changed the grade of Fairfield Road, and it made it too steep for his driveway. So I believe it was my Uncle Billy built a driveway coming in off of Riverview, because everybody else did a driveway back there.
And the pool, it looks like it's 30-foot by 30-foot square.
No. The pool
I'm
is
looking at the plan.
24-foot round.
Well, it's round, but I mean, within the area, you have a squared-off area around the pool,
That was gonna-
30 by 30?
That was going to be a fence.
Okay, so the 30 by 30 is the fence.
Yes.
Potential fence.
Potential fence. Proposed fence. Not yet. Okay.
I will say this, Mr. Sanders, it would be really difficult to drive in off of Fairfield Road, just because of how Fairfield Road is.
Understood. Yeah, I was wondering why you had a Fairfield Road address.
Blame the post office.
Okay, so the pool is within the front yard of the Riverview Road side of your property?
Yes.
Okay, okay. No further questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Conley.
I have nothing further at this point.
Does anybody from the public like to speak in support of this application? Would anybody from the public like to speak in opposition to this application? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Excuse me. I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to grant a variance from Township zoning ordinance number 342 as amended, Article 19, Section 1910.F.2, to install a pool within the front yard of the property located at 700 Fairfield Road in a residential zoning district to be done in conformity with the testimony and exhibits offered this evening, and subject to any additional requirements from the building, the township building office.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
So we'll have Ms. Lenich,
In favor?
Ms. Pygott,
In favor?
Mr. Daly.
In favor.
Mr. Armando.
In favor.
Chair votes in favor. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.
332 Cambridge Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the application of Jessica Ruderman for a variance from Section 1908G1 of the Plymouth Township zoning ordinance to allow a detached garage closer than 10 feet back from the rearmost portion of the dwelling. Property is located at 332 Cambridge Road in the B as in boy residential zoning district.
Jessica Ruderman,
Hi, this is my project manager, Jeff Rosso. He'll be helping explain because he did the design work for him.
Okay, yeah, let's get him sworn in.
Jeffrey Grosso, Grosso.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So potential project manager. Potential client.
Depends how you do tonight.
Yeah. So do you want us just to start or ask questions?
Do you want to explain this, what you want to do?
Give a general, so
Yeah.
he's got like the design details, but, so we're a corner lot and our backyard is about 30 feet, it's exactly 30 feet in depth. And so to put a 24-foot garage, which is a 2-foot garage, two-car garage, then we'd have to be in line with the back of the house. The front of the garage would be in line with the back of the house, not 10 feet back. Based on the I think it's 4-foot setback from the backyard line and the side yard line. So it's basically just, we're not going to be 10 feet back from the house. We'll be in line with the back of the house on the front of the garage. It's probably easier to look at the picture.
Oh, yeah, no, I just looked up something.
Than my explanation.
Did you want to explain the dimensions and how high and?
Yeah, so I believe the height is 18 feet, the limit. We're only going to be around 16 or less for the height of it. We're going to be 24 by 24 overall. We're going to stay within the 4-foot setbacks from side and rear. We're actually going to be approximately 6 and 6. If it were to have to be pushed back that 10 feet with that restriction, it would virtually render it useless for their needs, what they're trying to accomplish, because then it pretty much cuts it in half, so a 12-foot deep garage really isn't going to do it for them. And then at that point, the driveway extending towards the garage is taking up valuable impervious surface as well, because we're put right there, but we're under where our requirements are.
And I see you have a proposed deck, and it's connected slightly to the deck? Or?
Yeah, it's slightly there. It walks down. We may be doing the deck as the patio too. When we're talking at it, or we might transition it into the back patio.
There is an existing deck there right now that's about 23 feet by 15 feet. So the proposal is to extend that a little bit, make it a little larger so it meets up with the driveway.
And then you have this proposed concrete patio?
On the backside, yes.
Yeah.
Does that go all the way across? I couldn't tell.
That goes across. So if you look here, she has a door that comes out of the house right here, and she also has a door that walks out to the proposed deck or her deck that's existing. So we were going to carry it over here so they can set up their grill. And she has a place that's set up back here in the corner for the kids.
I couldn't tell where the line was because...
Yeah, it curves right off the corner.
Because of the hash, you see the hash, it goes all the way to the lot
Right.
line.
So that curves right in and then follows this line.
I couldn't tell where... So this part down here is also part of a concrete patio?
Yes.
So that's missing. I thought the concrete patio went all the way across because of how...
Yeah, no, it just goes this way, and then, yeah, it follows the contours. Correct.
I got it. Ms. Luddich, any questions?
Is there a reason you wouldn't put the garage more in line with the front of the house? That would alleviate some of the,
So for a detached garage, it has to be, the variance is that it has to be 10 feet back.
From the furthest most point back from the road to the back of the house, it dictates that you have to be 10 feet off, so we wouldn't. So right now, we're already intruding upon it about 12 feet.
I don't have any questions right now.
She's probably got it.
I didn't get a chance to drive by the house, but is there a garage at all? Do you?
No garage.
You don't have a garage currently?
No shed.
No shed.
All of our kids' stuff is on the yard.
So your purpose for this garage, is it for cars or for your kids' stuff?
Both. We wanted to park both cars in there, especially for winter time, and then also have storage for all the stuff that comes with expanding families.
Thank you. No other questions.
Mr. Daly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are your neighbors okay with this?
We did speak to our neighbors on Cambridge Road, so they all are fine with it. They don't see anything that they would contest about it. So.
Okay. So the garage is like roughly parallel to the rear portion of the house, I guess we'd say.
Yeah, so the front of the garage would be right in line with the back of the house.
Okay. We're separated by the deck.
Yep, yeah, so our side yard's really, really big, and our backyard's really, really shallow. So it would be way more than 10 feet away from the house, it's just not back.
Yeah. I took a look at your backyard. It is pretty big. I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
No questions, thank you.
I guess part of what was asked, and I know you require variance, but you require variance no matter what, but did you consider moving the garage up instead of having it all the way in the back?
We didn't really feel like obstructing the view with the deck tail off to the side, so it would be nice if people could pull up, and we're planning on having a gate right there so they could get up onto the deck.
Yeah, and I think another reason would be, right now our driveway does extend pretty much to where it's showing in terms of from the front of the property to the back, and having that parking space, like we do like having a large driveway for parking.
That's okay. Okay, no, I was just looking at it.
And that way we don't have a dead zone back there, and plus we're planning on doing a hot tub in that area and where the deck meets the garage. So it just gives them some privacy, because we're going to do the privacy section on the front of the deck and possibly some landscaping to dress it up.
Understood. It just looked as though you would have a little bit more room to work with in the back, going down towards Weymouth.
Yeah, that corner, it's called like our dead zone, because there actually is a pretty large hill there. And so water goes back there, and pretty much we don't really do anything with it. So building the garage up there helps us utilize that space in a way that it's functional. If we did move the garage up and have to build, we'd end up having to put either some sort of raised patio or raised deck back there to use it anyway.
I have no further questions, Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You don't plan to have anybody live in this garage, do you?
Oh, no.
Okay. And no other commercial activity from the garage, just for storage of personal items and cars?
And cars, correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Conroy?
Just to clarify, the highest garage can be 16 feet.
Okay.
I know you're saying
Yeah, so
16.
yeah,
I
on here
know,
it's 16.
you had that on your plan.
Okay.
So, no problem.
Just one other question. Will you have utilities in the garage?
Just electric.
We're going to do a 100 amp sub panel, do some lighting, and then that's pretty much it.
And the door liner.
If she wants them at this point.
Does anyone from the public want to speak in support of this application? Does anyone from the public like to speak in opposition to this application? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to grant a variance from the Township zoning ordinance number 342 as amended, Article 19, Section 1908.G.1, to allow proposed detached garage closer than 10 feet back from the rearmost portion of the dwelling, located at Cambridge Road in the B residential district, subject to the conditions laid out tonight, electrical utility only, no residential, commercial use, and in conformity with the testimony and exhibits offered in the hearing as well.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Ms. Levitt?
In favor?
Ms. Pygott?
In favor?
Mr. Daly?
In favor.
Mr. Armando?
In favor.
The chair votes in favor. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
3,000 Jolly Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the application of Suku John and Romani George for a variance from two sections of the zoning ordinance. First, Section 502C2 and Section 1800.E. The property is located at 3,000 Jolly Road in the A residential zoning district. And Mr. Fury is here representing the applicant.
Good evening, members of the board. Mr. Chairman, I have exhibit packets. May I hand them out?
Yes. Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Members of the board, I have with me this evening the owners, Suku John and Ronnie George. They own 3,000 Jolly Road, Plymouth, Meeting, in the A residential district. I also have Brian Billings, an architect, here who drew the plans in the packet. The owners reside in the single-family residence on the property, and they plan to improve the house with a two-story addition, a terrace, a carport, portico, and a basement egress well. They also plan to relocate their driveway to provide a safer access into this corner lot. The lot is conforming with respect to lot area and lot width, and it meets all the other dimensional requirements other than the relief requesting. But the existing house is technically in a non-conforming location with respect to required setbacks. The property is uniquely shaped corner lot located at the corner of Jolly Road and Malvern, and as a result, it's a small, uniquely shaped building envelope. For request for relief from Section 502 of the zoning ordinance, that requires the following setbacks. That's a 40-foot front yard on Jolly, 30-foot rear, 40-foot along Malvern, and then 17-foot setback on the side property line, which would be opposite to Malvern in accordance with that Section 502. So the owners request a variance from Section 502C2 to permit an 11-foot side yard setback rather than 17 feet required. I did point out there is a slight, what I thought might be a discrepancy in the zoning ordinance. The Section 502C2 requires a corner lot to have a front yard of 40 feet, a rear yard of 30, and two side yards, 40 feet and 17. The definition of front yard in the zoning ordinance requires a corner lot to have two front yards, 40 feet each, 30-foot rear yard, and one side yard with the same setback as the rear yard versus 30. So that makes it even smaller building envelope and just demonstrates the hardship. But I think, if there's a discrepancy in the ordinance, you look at the provisions that are in favor of the landowner. So we would suggest that the owners are requesting the 6-foot variance from the 17-foot requirement and establish 11-foot side yard setback. It's a conforming use on a conforming lot, and like I said, but we're technically expanding a non-conforming building, and so we have the Section 1800E also noted as far as that goes. The exhibits in the packet or the application narrative. Number one, the deed to show the standing of my clients, Brian's CV, the site plan, and I will say that it's a revised site plan from what we submitted in the application, just slightly revised, and I'll have Brian explain that. Number 5 are the photos, there's architectural plans, and there's neighbor support. And if the board would permit me, I'd like to ask Brian to be sworn and Mr. John to be sworn as well, and we'll just perhaps hear some testimony from them.
Suku John, S-U-K-U, last name John, J-O-H-N.
Brian Billings, B-R-I-A-N, B-I-L-L-I-N-G-O.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call Brian Billings first, please.
Sure.
Brian, please state your profession, your education, and your experience, please.
I am a registered architect in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania since 1987. I was educated in architecture at the University of Pennsylvania, graduating with a master's degree in architecture in 1981. I've been practicing architecture in Pennsylvania since 1987.
And you're a registered architect, is that correct?
Yes.
Asked that Mr. Billings be recognized as an expert in architecture, please.
Yes.
Thank you. His CV is number 3. So, Brian, if you could just review the site plan, which is number 4 with the board, and explain the difference between what we filed with the application and also the what this permit shows.
The site plan shows you graphically everything that Mr. Fury just described to you, and you can see that because it's a corner lot, there is a 40-foot setback shown by this line here, setback from the ultimate right-of-way of Jolly Road, and again, because it's a corner lot, we have a 40-foot setback from the right-of-way on Malvern Road. This creates a condition where the existing dwelling is this block here, and there is also a sun porch which will be demolished in this corner here, both of which slightly extend past those setbacks. We are proposing to add a 2-story addition to the rear, a terrace off of to the south side of that addition, and a carport addition to the north side, to the side yard. We also propose a portico on the front of the house, which is in the front yard, but that is covered under the allowed extensions into required yards. So the only part of this that is non-conforming really is this one corner of the addition over the side yard setback of 17 feet to the north side, and the proposed egress well from the basement. And my sense of that is that that would fall, it's kind of like a set of steps below ground. The section of the ordinance that speaks to extensions into required yards doesn't mention egress wells because it's a relatively new matter, but in general, when you have a full basement nowadays, the building codes want you to have an emergency escape and egress. So we're also asking that be interpreted as being included under an allowed projection into that side yard. Other than that, so we have at the corner of the 2-story addition an 11-foot setback, which is a 6-foot encroachment on the side yard. The carport addition will be 3 feet or more to the nearest corner from the property line, meeting the required setback for carports, and the terrace also is in compliance with that. The only change that was made from the packet that you received with the application was that you could see on the old one that the proposed terrace was rectangular, and after that design was done, we received the land survey with the topography, and the topography suggested that we make some changes to the shape of that, and so that's why there's a change in the shape of that terrace.
Oh, thank you, Brian. The board will also draw your attention to the photos that are marked under 5, and then Brian's architectural plans, which are under 6. And anybody have a question on the board, Brian?
Are you going to have your client testify on that?
Yes, I am. Did you want me to call him as well?
That'll work me over
Okay.
first.
I thought you might have questions for Brian. But yes, thank you. Very well. Just explain to the board the reasons for your rendition. Why are you expanding your house?
So our house is a Cape Cod, very small, and the upstairs is even smaller. And we would like to live in this house for as long as possible. And we'd like a little bit more room. And so that's the primary reason. We have wanted a carport for a long time, so this project would allow us to add a carport, and that would allow us to move our driveway. Our driveway is currently right at the corner of Jolly and Malvern, so we've been there for 20 years. It's surprising we've not had any fender benders, but it's a very tricky driveway. So we would be able to move that. The terrace would be a one-full addition. Our current stairway to go upstairs is like that wide. It's a little over 2 feet wide, very narrow and very steep in turns. It's very difficult to get furniture up and down. This would allow us to do a new staircase.
And a larger bedroom and bath on the first floor?
Oh, yes. Yeah, so that's, when I said we would like to live here for as long as possible, this project would allow us to have a full-sized bedroom and bathroom downstairs. Currently, we have a bedroom and a bathroom downstairs, but they're tiny, like tiny.
So, and you went around to your neighbors and explained the project to them, and you received a petition and a letter from one of your neighbors with regard to the project, and they're all attached as item 7. And also you'll see that we just put together a tax map and just put the marks on the properties that he's able to get to. A few people have been traveling, so he wasn't able to get to everyone, but I think we got most of the surrounding neighbors.
Yes.
Questions from the board, Ms. Lettich?
So, it's a big project. The existing structure will remain, and then you'll be adding on to it, right? Will you be expanding the kitchen too as part of the project?
So the kitchen will move into the addition.
Move into the addition?
Yes, so
Okay.
we'll get a much bigger, nicer kitchen.
And I agree with the moving of the driveway. I don't have any other questions.
Ms. Pyga?
Yes. What's the proposed square footage of the addition, the total square footage? Approximately.
I don't remember the number.
Is it twice as big as, is it about the same as your existing house?
No, it's bigger. So the existing house is, I believe, 1,674 square feet gross. And the proposed completed project, the house with a full second story instead of paved, as Suka was saying, and the 2-story addition will be about 2712. So it's like 1,000 square feet.
1,000 square feet, the
Yes.
addition itself.
May I follow up with a question to address your issue? Brian, you looked at some of the house sizes in the neighborhood?
Yes.
And can you just maybe address that, what your findings were with regard to that?
So I looked at about 24 houses within about a 400 foot radius of their house, and there was a range of sizes, obviously, and it really falls very close to the median and the average size of those houses. So it's actually kind of bringing their house into more in line with what's typical for the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Mr. Daly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one question. When was the house built? That's one curiosity.
55?
Yeah.
55, okay. You certainly have, that's one of the things, you have a smaller house and a lot of property. Nowadays, you have bigger houses and a lot less property.
Yeah.
That's just an observation. I don't have other further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Armando?
So to clarify, the foundation of the existing house is going to stay intact, and you're going to build off of that?
That is correct.
So it's not a complete smear?
No,
redo?
we're going to take the half story off and then build a full second story on the existing footprint in addition to, and then have the addition off the rear.
Yeah, no further questions.
What are the total number of bedrooms?
We have a total of 5 bedrooms. 5 bedrooms and 3 and a half baths. Yeah.
One of the bedrooms will be used as a study, because, yeah.
What, is the terrace at grade?
It's pretty close to grade. The grade does change a little. I mean, the grade goes down. So at the one end, here, let's see. Yeah, here it's basically at grade. Here we have about 4 steps down to grade because the grade goes down as you move in that direction.
And what was, I couldn't tell what this terrace was made of. Is it pavers? Is it?
It's probably going to be pavers. We haven't figured that out yet. This is still kind of schematic design, but yeah, that was my thinking.
Yes.
Pavers, something along those lines.
And the carport will be open except for 2 little
Yes.
Support posts?
Well, they're what we call shear walls, because it's sticking out pretty far, and we don't want to blow over the way. And how big those walls are will ultimately be determined by the structural engineer. But that's my best guess. I'm showing them as 4 feet wide each.
It's a 22-foot wall.
Yeah.
So you have 14 feet of approximately. I have no further questions. Mr. Sanders?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Conlon?
I have no questions, thank you.
Anybody from the public like to speak in support of this application?
Come on up.
Come on up, yeah. Get sworn in. And
State your name, please. My name is Karen Ashman. Spell your phone number. K-A-R-N-A-S-C-H. Raise your right hand, please. Name, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I think it actually is going to be very, very nice. We used to live directly across the street from the house for many, many years, and before I was even on the road. So to see a nice transformation to something that exists there, I'm all for it. I think it's going to be really, really nice.
thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to comment on this application? I just want to add, having been out there and looked at this property, it was very difficult to try and find a place to park to be able to look at the property. I mean, it was trying. I know other members of the board were also out there and looked at it. It was trying. So I
The
think.
secret is malware.
Exactly.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm on Jolly
When I
Roger.
posted the property, it was malware. Yeah, I had to see it.
Yeah, it was tough. So I think that the driveway moving is going to be assuming this were approved, would be a vast improvement over where it is now, because it's really difficult with Malvern. It conflicts with it.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult location, and as your council did point out, it is a triangular, different kind of lot. So, thank you. Nothing further with that. Anybody else have any comments?
No,
I guess, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to grant a variance from the Township zoning ordinance number 342 as amended, Article 5, Section 502.C.2, and Article 18, Section 1800.E, point capital E, to allow an 11-foot side yard setback where 17 feet is required, to allow an increase for building addition of 63%, where a maximum of 25% is allowed, for an extension of a lawful non-conforming building located at 3000 Jolly Road in A residential zoning district, in conformity with testimony and hearings presented this evening. Press testimony and exhibits present this evening.
And I guess in conformity with the revised site plan submitted
Please.
tonight?
Yes, the revised site plan.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Vote, Ms. Lettich?
In favor?
Ms. Pagat?
In favor?
Mr. Daly?
In favor.
Mr. Armando?
In favor.
The chair votes in favor. Good luck. I think it's a nice project.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.